Putin addressed the world today, and what he said has completely changed this war. Off the bat, he said there will be no more future negotiations, and the only outcome will be a total Russian victory. This is different than previously, whenever he encouraged open dialogue and ceasefire. He said that is all out of the window, because he said Zelensky's past actions this week has made Ukraine an illegitimate country. And since Russia now doesn't view Ukraine as a country, all acts by Zelensky will be terror acts. Putin specifically brought up the 2 attacks on the civilian trains last week, which is when Ukraine exploded 2 bridges while trains were under them. Putin says that any ceasefire would see the rearming of Ukraine, something that he cannot have happen, and that this war will drag on and will not end until a full Russian victory is completed. No more ceasefires, no more ultimatums, no more peace deal. And that any negotiations with an outside power like the United States would have to see Zelensky step down, as the Russians now view him as illegitimate. There's now rumors circulating that Russia could declare war. Let me know in the comments if they should.
Shalom. First thing first, I want to give all praises, glory, honor, and power that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who I learned this truth from. Salutation to the brothers stiffly pushing this one truth in all sincerity and diligence, risking both your lives and freedoms to do so. And shalom to the rest of the elect as we all await the second Exodus coming quickly by the hands of Lord Yahweh Shah. This is your brother Kakabar, back at you again with another lesson, all right, entitled, They Shall Seek Peace and There Shall Be None. All right, they shall seek peace and there shall be none, because we know that there was just, the other day they were supposed to have those peace talks, and this was right after Ukraine, all right, unleashed that massive attack on Sunday. You know, they used all of those drones to pretty much, I believe they destroyed like 40 some odd Russian nuclear capable bombers, man. All right. And at like 4 different air bases, you know, and as well, they also just destroyed a bridge. So Ukraine is, hey, they're going ballistic. You know, they going crazy right now, man. So shit's heating up quick. And as you see, Putin, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much saying, look, peace talks and ceasefires is off the table, man. You see, peace talks and ceasefires is off the table. And this is the reason why now Trump and Putin, all right, is pretty much locking heads with each other, man. You know, because a lot of you people thought that they was buddy, you know, behind the scenes or whatever. But in reality, this war is about to commence. All right, world war, man, is pretty much is here, you know. And hey, this shit's about to go crazy, man. We don't know, you know, what Putin's response is going to be. All right, they're warning he could declare war. He could respond in many different ways based on the attacks that just transpired the last few days ago, man. All right, but I'm going to play a few more of these videos, grab a precepts, and that's pretty much going to be the point. But hey, you can see now that, look, this war is about to happen, man. All right, meaning America's going to get involved. All right, they're not just going to be able to use the proxies anymore. All right, they're going to fully get involved, man. And NATO's already involved. All right, pretty much, you know, they got it to where they're Germany, the UK, you know, they've already allowed Ukraine to use their particular missiles to fire, you know, over there to Russia. So this shit's about to go down, man.
Iran's supreme leader sends a new...
This news just broke just in the last few minutes because President Trump just posted online about this call. I want to read to you part of that post so we can get an understanding of what happened here. The president wrote online, I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not in a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. And President Trump went on to talk about another issue, which is that he said they discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly, he said. President Putin suggested that he will participate in discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion, is the president saying. Now, on the first part, when
she skipped the part where President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. See, because there's not going to be any peace, man. They've been trying to have these ceasefires and peace talks, even over there with Gaza, man. You know, releasing hostages and doing this, that, there, and the third. But the whole time, they're taking over more ground. More thousands of people are dying, continuing to die. Nothing's getting better. That's why I want to do this lesson, man, entitled "They Shall Seek Peace and There Shall Be None," because there's a time and a place for everything, man, and we're just in a time of war, you know. So, hey, they might want to try to save face and, you know, talk this peace shit, but in reality, you know, the elites, they want this war anyways, man. Like the saying goes, all wars are bankers' wars. We at the time of a fucking economic collapse about to happen. The world is being reset. Okay, if you're paying attention, you know, they're warning of another pandemic. Okay, C-19 is doing the same shit it was doing 5 years ago. Okay. All right, they're telling people to get boosters, and this one's gonna be more fatal. So it's just a repeat, man. And you know, we're in that time to where the Lord is just about to allow all hell to break loose. All right, this is Ezekiel 7. Now this was going into ancient Israel, but it applies to this place because the wickedness, all right, is actually worse here, man. Okay, so the Lord is about to destroy this place. All right, it says Ezekiel 7. In 15, it says, the sword is without and a pestilence and a famine within. Okay, and once again, they're warning of COVID, you know, C-19 and these other viruses that is pretty much gaining momentum once more, man, because it really never went away. But now they're starting to push it in the news again. So this shit about to get this shit about to get locked down all over again, man. You know, shutting the doors, shutting shit down, closing up shop, you know. It says, and the famine within. Yeah, the famine we dealing with food, price hikes, you know, a lot of, you know, when you was hearing about a lot of the chickens and the cattle and the eggs being destroyed due to, I forgot what that virus was, you know, they was destroying it because of that. You see, and also too, trade wars, you know, is going to limit the amount of goods that get brought into the country, which they're going to have to hike prices up for that. So food scarcity, shortages, also due to the weather, you know, droughts and whatnot. All right. It's all about the hit, man. It says it says, he that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. And there was also just a T attack. I forget exactly where it was located. I'll have to look into that again. Matter of fact, and I don't know if they'll label it as such, but I want to say, I don't know if it was Colorado, but okay, yeah, it was a attack on a march for hostages held in Gaza. I think, yeah, they were targeting, I believe, those Israelis. Authorities investigate attack on pro-Israel group in Boulder, Colorado. Pro-Israel group in Boulder, Colorado. So the attack was on the pro-Israel group. See, and then we can't forget, we got all of those, you know, peoples that flooded into the country. You know, they declared the day of jihad or some shit. Because it's going to be a whole nother slew of T attacks on this place, man. You know, start of the year, okay, what happened? You had the dude drove his truck, all right, on Bourbon Street, unalived, several people. So, yeah, man, it's just about to go down. It says, he that is in the city, and famine and pestilence shall devour him. But they that escape of them shall escape. Salakia, but they that escape of them shall escape and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, all of them mourning everyone for his iniquity. Okay, let's skip down to the point. It says, verse 19, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. And that's going to happen, man. Your money's going to be worthless. Okay, your money's going to be worthless. You're not going to be able to pay these troops off. You're not going to, you know, that's why they're crashing the U.S. economy, man. All these tariffs is a backfire on the U.S. economy because they want everything to go digital. So it's getting to that point to where fiat money, all right, will be useless. See, that's what they want. Okay, all right. I think that was that Venezuela, Cuba, you know, and people were literally throwing their money out in the streets, man. Piles of money because it was worthless. Okay. Right. Verse And I'm going to get to the point, verse 25. It says, destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priests and counsel from the ancients, man. Yeah, because that destruction that's coming, it's about to take this place by storm. And there's going to be no peace talks, man. There's going to be none of that. All right. And it says, then they shall seek pretty much seek the prophets, seek a vision from the prophet, but you're not going to get it because at that point, hey, we done warning you people. The warnings have went out. All right. And at this point, it's just time for the Most High to allow all hell to break loose, man. All right. Okay. And then, yeah, you can't forget about China. Okay. So that's pretty much it, though. That's pretty much the point. This shit's heating up, man, and we got to just stay tuned. All right. Stay ready because shit can turn south, all right, at any given moment. All right. Because, like I said, Ukraine is pretty much up their attacks. All right. That attack they did on Sunday was their largest attack, all right, to date. You know what I'm saying? And they also said that they pretty much was prepping for that for over a year. All right. And then you got stories coming out that they said the U.S. and the Europe or NATO wasn't aware. And then you got people saying that they was. We know how this place get down, man. They had they footing in it one way or another. All right. But nonetheless, Russia, all right, is going to respond. All right. And eventually, all right, America's going to be drawn in that war, man. All right. Ain't going to be no gray area. Ain't going to be none of that shit, man. All right. So that's what you people can pretty much look forward to. And this shit's going to come quickly upon this place, man. But that's really the point. I'm going to give all praises to y'all. Bashem Yahweh Shah, Bashem Kakadash, DTAY, Baba Ball, Shalom.